The soft glow of the laptop screen illuminated Abigail Morgan's tired face as she reviewed spreadsheets late into the night. Her small apartment kitchen doubled as her office, with stacks of papers organized meticulously beside a cold cup of coffee. From the hallway came the gentle sound of her daughters breathing through the baby monitor. Lily was finally asleep after a particularly difficult bedtime routine. Abigail rubbed her eyes and glanced at the framed photo on her counter. Lily on her 5th birthday, blowing out candles, her eyes sparkling with innocent joy. The trust fund statement lay beside it, the latest update from the account her late husband had established before his unexpected death 3 years ago. It wasn't extravagant, but it represented security, a promise Abigail had made to both her daughter and her husband's memory. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Family dinner Sunday. Dad wants to discuss something important." Abigail hesitated before responding with a simple, "We'll be there." Family gatherings had become increasingly tense since Michael's death, but she continued to attend for Lily's sake. The Morgan family home stood proud and imposing in its affluent neighborhood, a testament to her father's successful law practice. Abigail parked her modest sedan behind her sister Sophia's gleaming luxury SUV and helped Lily out of her car seat. The little girl skipped up the flagstone path, her dark curls bouncing with each step. "Grandma! Grandpa!" Lily called out as they entered through the unlocked front door, the familiar scent of her mother's pot roast greeting them. Margaret Morgan emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron. "There's my little princess," she cooed, bending down to embrace Lily while nodding briefly at Abigail. "Your Aunt Sophia and Uncle James are in the living room." Throughout dinner, conversation flowed around Abigail rather than including her. Sophia dominated with stories about her interior design business and plans to expand. Their parents responded with enthusiastic questions and proud smiles. Abigail focused on helping Lily cut her meat, feeling the familiar invisibility that seemed to envelop her at these gatherings. "So," William began once dessert had been served, "I've been presented with an extraordinary opportunity that could benefit this family tremendously." He nodded towards Sophia. "Your sister has been approached about a partnership with Westfield Designs. It would mean national exposure, celebrity clients, and a significant expansion." Sophia beamed. "It's what I've been working toward for years. The initial investment is substantial, but the return will be incredible." William cleared his throat. "The investment required is $200,000. Your mother and I are prepared to contribute half. And we've been saving," James added, "but we're about $50,000 short of what we need for our portion." A heavy silence fell over the table, and Abigail felt a creeping sense of dread. "That's where you come in, Abigail," her father continued, his tone shifting to the one he used in business negotiations. "We'd like to borrow from Lily's trust fund." The words hit Abigail like a physical blow. "Lily's trust fund?" "The money Michael left for her education. It's just sitting there," Margaret interjected softly. "Growing at what, 2%? This investment could triple it in 5 years." "Not give away," William corrected sharply. "Invest. As trustee, you have the authority to make investment decisions. This would be a smart one." A minority stake in a design firm isn't what Michael had in mind when he set up that account, Abigail countered, trying to keep her voice level. She glanced at Lily, who was distracted with her dessert, blissfully unaware of the conversation about her inheritance. "Michael isn't here to make these decisions," her father said bluntly. "And frankly, playing it safe isn't always the best way to honor his memory." The casual dismissal of her husband's wishes stung. Abigail swallowed hard. "I need time to think about this." "The opportunity won't wait, Abigail," William pressed. "Sophia needs an answer by Friday." The weekly management meeting at Parkside Financial was running long when Abigail's phone vibrated with a text from her father, "Need your decision by tomorrow." She discreetly silenced it, refocusing on her colleague's presentation. Abigail, could you walk us through the quarterly projections? Her supervisor asked. She stood, smoothing her skirt, and moved to the front of the conference room. As she began her carefully prepared analysis, the conference room door opened, and a man she didn't recognize slipped in quietly. Sorry to interrupt, her supervisor said. This is Nathan Brooks, our new director of operations. He just transferred from the Chicago office. The tall, dark-haired newcomer nodded apologetically, taking a seat at the back of the room. After the meeting, as she gathered her materials, Nathan approached. That was an impressive analysis, he said. You managed to make depreciation schedules actually sound interesting. Abigail smiled despite herself. The secret is in the delivery. I see you're related to William Morgan of Morgan Associates, he noted, something in his tone suggesting there was more to that response. Their conversation was interrupted by a call from daycare. Lily had a fever. As Abigail rushed to her car, she pushed thoughts of the trust fund, her father's deadline, and the new director from her mind. The annual charity gala hosted by Morgan Associates transformed the Philadelphia Art Museum into a glittering showcase of the city's elite. Abigail stood at the periphery of the crowd, feeling out of place despite her carefully chosen dress. Mom, do I look pretty? Lily asked, twirling in her new party dress. The child's excitement about attending her first grown-up party had made the evening worth it. The prettiest girl in the room, Abigail assured her, smoothing a stray curl. Across the gallery, William Morgan was holding court, Sophia and James at his side. They made a striking trio, successful, confident, and completely in their element. Abigail noticed how her father introduced Sophia to various potential clients, pride evident in his bearing. Your father's about to make the big announcement, Patricia, his longtime legal secretary, mentioned. You should move closer to the stage. William tapped a microphone. The crowd quieted as he began his speech, thanking donors and highlighting the firm's commitment to community service. And now, I'm pleased to share some exciting personal news, William continued. My daughter Sophia is expanding her interior design business through an exclusive partnership with Westfield Designs. Applause rippled through the crowd. Morgan Associates is proud to be the primary investor in what promises to be a remarkable venture. Abigail froze. Primary investor? But she hadn't agreed to release Lily's funds. A wave of disbelief washed over her. We believe in supporting family excellence, William was saying, and in making smart investments for future generations. The room spun slightly as understanding dawned. They had gone ahead without her consent. Somehow, they had accessed Lily's trust fund. Ms. Morgan. Nathan's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. Are you all right? You look pale. I'm fine, she replied automatically, then reconsidered. Actually, no. I'm not fine at all. I heard your father's announcement, he said carefully. You seemed surprised. Surprise doesn't begin to cover it. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. They took my daughter's trust fund for this venture. Without my consent. Nathan's expression darkened. That's not legal. Before you do anything, Nathan said quietly, you should know something. He hesitated. In Chicago, I worked in forensic accounting. Your father's firm was involved in a case I investigated last year. Abigail stared at him. What are you saying? Nothing definitive. But there were irregularities in how certain client trusts were managed. He met her gaze directly. If he's accessed your daughter's trust fund improperly, it might not be an isolated incident. Sophia appeared, champagne glass in hand. Abby, there you are. Daddy's looking everywhere for you. Her sister's smile faltered as she noticed Nathan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. How did you do it, Sophia? Abigail asked, steadying herself. Do what? Access Lily's trust fund without my signature. Sophia's smile tightened. Don't be dramatic, Abby. Daddy handled all the legal details. Everything's perfectly above board. I never agreed to this. You were being unnecessarily difficult. The money was just sitting there, doing nothing. It was growing for my daughter's future. Abigail's voice rose slightly. That was Michael's legacy to Lily. Sophia rolled her eyes. Michael's been gone for 3 years. It's time you started thinking about the living. This investment benefits the whole family. Except Lily. The conference room at Morgan Associates felt stifling despite its impressive views of the Philadelphia skyline. Abigail sat across from her father, his senior partner Douglas Westfield beside him. Sophia and James completed the tableau of family unity, a unity that clearly excluded her. I appreciate your concern, Abigail, William was saying, his tone condescending, but as I've explained, the reallocation of funds was entirely legal. The trust gives the executor discretionary power for investment purposes. The executor, Abigail replied steadily, which is me, not you. William exchanged a glance with Douglas. Actually, there was a co-executor provision that allowed me to act in your stead if you were indisposed. Indisposed? I wasn't indisposed. I explicitly said I needed time to consider. Your reluctance to seize an obvious opportunity demonstrated impaired judgment, her father continued smoothly. The provision exists precisely for such situations. Abigail felt her anger rising. So you declared me mentally unfit to manage my daughter's inheritance? And you determined that investing her college fund in a startup business with no established track record was in her best interest? Abigail challenged. Enough, William cut in sharply. The decision has been made, the paperwork filed. What's done is done. Abigail pulled a document from her bag. I've had the trust reviewed by an independent attorney. The co-executor provision you're citing only applies if I'm medically incapacitated or legally declared incompetent. Neither condition exists. A flicker of surprise crossed her father's face before his legal mask slipped back into place. Your interpretation is flawed. The provision allows for broader application. That's not what Caroline Phillips thinks. She named one of Philadelphia's most respected trust attorneys. She's prepared to challenge this in court if necessary. A heavy silence fell over the room. James shifted uncomfortably in his chair. You would see your own family? Sophia asked incredulously. Over money? Over my husband's wishes for our daughter, Abigail corrected. Over the future he provided for when he knew he wouldn't be here. I want the funds returned to the trust by the end of the week, she said firmly. Otherwise, Caroline will file for an emergency injunction Monday morning. William's expression hardened. Think very carefully about the path you're choosing, Abigail. Legal battles are expensive, and they don't stay contained. Your employer might take an interest in why one of their accountants is embroiled in a finance-related lawsuit. The threat wasn't subtle. Abigail stood, gathering her things. I'll expect confirmation of the fund restoration by Friday. The following days passed in a blur of anxiety. During her lunch break on Thursday, she sat alone in the company courtyard when Nathan joined her. I've been looking into some records, he said, lowering his voice. Trust management at your father's firm. After what you mentioned at the gala, I got curious. He hesitated. It's not just your daughter's trust, Abigail. There's a pattern. What kind of pattern? Funds being temporarily reallocated from client trusts to various investment vehicles, then replaced before regular audits. It's sophisticated and well concealed, but it's there if you know where to look. The implications were staggering. Are you saying my father's been embezzling? I'm saying there are serious irregularities that warrant investigation. Their conversation was interrupted by her phone. A text from an unknown number. Meet me at Riverside Park, near the boat rental, 5 p.m. Come alone. It's about your father. Jay. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across Riverside Park as Abigail approached the boat rental kiosk. She spotted James sitting alone on a bench, looking uncharacteristically disheveled. Thank you for coming, he said as she sat beside him. I didn't know who else to talk to. What's this about, James? Things have gotten complicated. The money. It's not just about Sophia's business expansion. What do you mean? William's been having liquidity problems. The firm looks successful, but there have been irregularities in how client funds are managed. A chill ran through her. Nathan's suspicions confirmed. Dad's been taking client money? Not permanently, James clarified quickly. More like borrowing from one account to cover shortfalls in another. It's worked for years, but recently, a major investment went south. There's a significant gap that needs to be filled before the next audit cycle. And Lily's trust fund was supposed to help cover this gap, Abigail realized. The business expansion was just a cover story. James nodded miserably. Sophia knows nothing about this. She believes everything is legitimate. The Westfield partnership is real, but the timing, it was convenient. Why are you telling me this now? Because what William did what we did, it was wrong. And because he hesitated, Sophia's pregnant. We just found out. I can't let my child be born into a family built on fraud. James reached into his jacket and pulled out a USB drive. Financial records, email exchanges, documentation of fund transfers. It's all here. Nathan's apartment was sparsely furnished, but meticulously organized. Abigail sat at his dining table, watching as he reviewed the files from James's USB drive on his laptop. This is comprehensive, he said finally. Your brother-in-law has been documenting this for some time. Can it be verified? Yes. These transaction records match patterns I've already identified. He turned the screen toward her. William has been running what amounts to a small-scale Ponzi scheme within his own firm, using new client deposits and trust funds to cover shortfalls or fund investments elsewhere. If I report this to the authorities, it destroys my family, she said slowly. If I do nothing, I'm complicit in fraud and I've failed to protect Lily's inheritance. There might be a third option, Nathan suggested. Use this information as leverage to secure the return of Lily's funds, along with the legally binding agreement that your father will gradually unwind his other inappropriate financial arrangements. You think he'd agree to that? To avoid prison? Almost certainly. Will you help me? She asked quietly. Nathan's steady gaze met hers. Every step of the way. William Morgan's home office was a sanctuary of dark wood and leather, designed to intimidate visitors and reflect his status. As Abigail entered with Nathan beside her, she saw her father's expression shift from surprise to wariness. This is a private family matter, he said, eyes flicking to Nathan. Your colleague doesn't belong here. Mr. Brooks is here as a financial advisor, Abigail replied calmly. And given the nature of our discussion, his expertise will be valuable. Margaret and Sophia sat on the leather sofa, confusion evident on their faces. James stood by the window, avoiding eye contact. I know everything, Dad, Abigail said, setting her laptop on the desk and turning it to face her father. The misappropriation of client funds. The movement of money between accounts to cover shortfalls. The use of Lily's trust fund to fill a gap before your next audit. The color drained from William's face as he recognized what he was seeing. Margaret gasped softly. William, what is she talking about? Nothing of consequence, he said automatically, but his voice lacked conviction. Where did you get these files? James stepped forward. From me. Sophia whirled to face her husband. You? What have you done? What needed to be done, he replied quietly. For our child's future. You're pregnant. Abigail asked her sister directly. Sophia nodded, momentarily distracted from the crisis. 10 weeks. William's composure cracked slightly. James, whatever you think you know. I know exactly what's been happening, James interrupted. I've been tracking the irregularities for over a year. Before joining Parkside Financial, I worked in forensic accounting for the SEC, Nathan explained, specializing in trust fund mismanagement and fraud. A heavy silence fell over the room. Margaret looked between her husband and daughters, confusion giving way to horrified understanding. William, Tell me this isn't true. It's complicated, he hedged. The firm has faced some temporary challenges. Certain adjustments were made to maintain stability. Stealing from client accounts isn't an adjustment, Abigail said firmly. It's a crime. I've never stolen anything. William insisted. Every cent will be replaced. It's simply a matter of timing and cash flow. And Lily's trust fund? Abigail pressed. Was that also just a matter of timing? Sophia stood abruptly. Are you saying my business expansion was funded with stolen money? Not stolen, William corrected quickly. Reallocated. And the Westfield partnership is entirely legitimate. Except if the SEC investigates and finds that your business was capitalized with misappropriated funds, they could freeze your assets, Sophia, Nathan explained. Everything you've built could be at risk. Is that what you want? Sophia turned to Abigail. To destroy everything I've worked for? No, Abigail said softly. That's not what I want at all. She moved closer to her sister. What I want is for Lily's money to be returned to her trust. What I want is for your child to be born into a family that isn't at risk of a federal investigation. What I want is for our father to make this right before it's too late. What exactly are you proposing? William asked, calculating his options. Return Lily's funds in full by tomorrow. Commit to a plan, in writing, to systematically replace all misappropriated client funds within 6 months. And step down from direct financial management of the firm. Impossible, William scoffed. The firm would collapse. Not if it's handled correctly, Nathan countered. A managed transition could salvage the situation. And if I refuse? Then these files go to the SEC, the State Bar Association, and the District Attorney's Office tomorrow morning. You would do that to your own family? He asked, a final attempt at manipulation. I'm doing this for our family, Abigail corrected him. For Lily and for Sophia's baby. For a future built on honesty instead of deception. Margaret reached for her husband's hand. William, please. Do what Abigail is asking. For perhaps the first time in his life, William Morgan found himself without leverage. I'll need time to arrange the transfers. You have until close of business tomorrow, Abigail said firmly. The morning light streamed through the windows of Abigail's small apartment as she prepared breakfast. Lily sat at the counter, swinging her legs as she carefully arranged blueberries into a smiley face on her pancake. Her phone pinged with a notification and email from her bank. The funds had been restored to Lily's trust account, the full amount plus interest. A moment later, Nathan texted, transfer confirmed. Full amount. We did it. Relief washed over her, followed quickly by a profound sadness for what her family had become. Her phone rang Sophia. Dad did it, Sophia said, her voice thick with emotion. He's transferred the money back and shown us the plan for addressing the other issues. I'm sorry, Sophia. I never wanted to hurt you. I know. Her sister sighed heavily. James and I have decided to scale back the expansion plans. We're going to use our own savings, take things more slowly. That sounds wise. I've been unfair to you, Abby. For years. I think maybe I was jealous in a way. Jealous? Of me? The idea seemed absurd. Of your strength. Your independence. The way you've raised Lily on your own without compromising who you are. The admission stunned Abigail into momentary silence. We're having dinner at Mom and Dad's tonight, Sophia continued. Will you come? Bring Lily? Abigail hesitated. I'm not sure that's a good idea right now. Dad's stepping back from the firm. Douglas is taking over the financial management. Things are changing. A pause. We need to start somewhere, Abby. Looking at Lily, happily eating her pancake, Abigail thought about what family truly meant. Okay, she said finally. We'll come. Nathan stood in her office doorway, holding 2 coffee cups. How did it go with your family? Awkward. Painful. But necessary. She took a sip of the coffee prepared exactly how she liked it. Thank you. For everything. Have you thought about what comes next? I'm thinking about starting my own financial advisory practice, she said, specializing in building secure futures for families, particularly single parents. Nathan smiled. You'd be excellent at that. Lily asked about you yesterday, Abigail mentioned casually. She wanted to know if the nice man with the glasses would be coming to the park with us sometime. I'd like that, Nathan replied. If you would. I would. She smiled, feeling something unfamiliar but welcome hope unfolding like a fragile new leaf. 1 year later, the small sign above the door read, Morgan Financial Advisors, securing your family's future. Abigail adjusted it slightly before unlocking the office for the day. Her new practice was growing steadily, built on a reputation for integrity. She set her bag down on her desk, noticing the photo now prominently displayed there, Lily at her 6th birthday party, surrounded by family. Margaret beaming proudly, Sophia holding her infant son, even William, looking older but somehow lighter. The past year had been one of rebuilding not just her career, but her family as well. William had followed through on his promise to rectify the financial improprieties at his firm. The process had been painful, requiring his partial retirement and a significant financial hit, but the worst had been avoided. Sophia's business had scaled back its ambitions, but found solid footing with a smaller, more sustainable model. The sisters spoke weekly now, sharing parenting stories and gradually healing old wounds. A text message lit up her phone, Nathan, confirming their dinner plans that evening. Their relationship had evolved slowly, deliberately, built on mutual respect and shared values. The bell above the door chimed as her first client of the day arrived, a young widow with 2 small children, seeking guidance on managing the insurance money that would need to support her family. Mrs. Chin, Abigail greeted her warmly. Please, come in. As they sat down together, Abigail felt a deep sense of purpose. She understood what this woman was facing, the fears, the pressures, the weight of sole responsibility. But she also understood the strength it took to move forward, to protect what mattered most. Before we begin, Mrs. Chin said hesitantly, how do you know which financial decisions are the right ones? There's so much at stake. Abigail smiled gently. The right decisions are the ones that honor your priorities and protect those who depend on you. Everything else is just details.